name is Rory Raven, and I'm going to read your minds tonight. Out of curiosity, how many of you here tonight believe in ESP, psychic powers, this kind of thing? Most of you, nearly all of you. All right, good. I don't, but I'm going to read your minds anyway. To do this, I'll need to borrow a couple of you over the next hour. If you want to help with something, that'd be great. If you really don't, just say no, not me. I'll move on to somebody else. No hard feelings. But I will talk about you later when I get home. Now, early experiments in extrasensory perception were done back in Cambridge, England, by a group called themselves the Society for Psychical Research. This would be the 1880s they did this. This is a group of philosophers and scholars who want to study the idea. Could thought be moved from one mind to another without the usual kind of sensory channels being involved? Their experiments, these playing cards. You can think of playing cards as being 52 different symbols, 52 different thoughts that one person could have and try to transmit to somebody else. This is what they would do. They'd sit two people down, they'd have one of them a deck of cards, that person would be the sender. They'd have the sender kind of look at a card, try to mentally project the image of that card to a second person, the receiver. They have the receiver guess what the sender was sending. They kept track of how many times they got it right, how many times they got it wrong. Did this for months and months and months. Back in the 1880s, at the end of their experiments, they analyzed their results. They found their results were inconclusive. So I want to try something similar using two of you as senders, one of me as receiver. You might have noticed the elastics, just thought it was sort of an eccentric fashion statement, but no. I am going to gently toss this deck of cards out into the audience. And I'll go kind of over this away. Oh, you laugh now. So lady on the end, I think I'll kind of aim for you. I think I have a teal jacket.
That's you.
The lady looking behind her saying, please let there be a lady in a teal jacket behind me. I'll toss it over to you. You can just stand up where you are, put it on your hand like that, and kind of peek at a card. Like that. Don't ripple, you'll see too many, we'll both get confused. Don't take it out, just sort of peek at one and remember it. It's a lot harder for me if you forget. All right?
Yeah.
It's going to you. Lovely. Just sort of peek at a card. Got it? And just stand up where you are. I'm going to have you gently toss the deck over to somebody over on this side of the room. Get their attention before you chuck a deck of cards. There we go. Same thing, my dear. Just stand up where you are and peek at a card. Got it? Just toss that back up to me. Awesome. All right. No, just if you just remain standing. Come on, down. We're just getting started. Look at me. All right, good. Look at me. Good. You, I feel good about. Not real sure over here just yet, but we'll be okay. So look at me. If you think of a deck of cards, we'll do this in nice, easy, bite-sized kinds of pieces. If you think of a deck of cards, there are red cards, there are black cards. If you just think of the color of your card, get this big and clear in your head, just think it's going to be red, it could be black or red, I think. And this is a black card you've got in mind here, yeah? Concentrate. It's a red card.
Very good.
Yeah, he's spooky. Same thing, just think of the color of your card. Get that big and clear in your head and try to push that toward me, and you've got the black card here, right? Okay, see, I thought I was having a hard time with you, but no, we gotta think. All right, so black cards. There are clubs and spades and clubs. You just get that suit big and clear in your head, and again, try to kind of push that toward me, and that's going to be a club, yeah? Yeah, I knew I was going to have a hard time here. I'll be right back. Same thing. So red cards, hearts and diamonds, hearts. Get that big and clear in your head and try to sort of like zero in on that and try to sort of push that toward me. This is a diamond here, yeah? Okay. All right. Back to you. If I can name the card that you're thinking of, sit down. As you do so, there'll be a huge kind of existential gasp for the rest of the audience. But just get this big and clear in your head and just picture that and get that big and clear and try to sort of push that toward me. And this is a high value kind of a black card. This is way high value. This is up in the face card range. And if it's a queen of spades, can you sit? Wow. Same thing here. Can you silently, in your head, just say the name of this card over and over again? in your head silently over and over, over and over, over and over, over and over. Three hearts, three hearts, three hearts, three hearts. Yes? There we go. All right. Seat. Now, it's not fair to compare one audience to another. I understand that. But I did this about 3 weeks ago at a little venue in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Not too far from here, but a little bit of a distance. And not fair to compare one audience to another, but at the point when I had identified the two cards that people were thinking of, that audience applauded. So I just thought I would throw that out there. There we go. This is what I do. I'm not psychic, but I can usually zero in on what people are thinking about. I mean, as long as they're willing to play the game. As you can see, it's sort of a two-way street. People always wonder, can I just get into your heads and pull out, whatever it is I want? Do I sit there at a Starbucks? Do I watch people walk by the street? Do I say, oh, she's got $12 in her pocket and he's cheating on his girlfriend? Do I do that kind of thing? No, I don't do that kind of thing anymore. Because it gets me in trouble. But ever since I was a child, I've been fascinated with ghost stories, with ESP and psychic powers. It's a very strange child. As I grew up into a sort of strange adult, I went up on theater, psychology, parapsychology. All that comes together to bring you out here to lovely Byfield this evening to play with your minds. And I do appreciate you folks showing up tonight. I know that you have a lot of other entertainment options available in Byfield of an evening. So I'm very thankful that you folks who came out to spend time with little old me. We try something else with the cards before moving on. For this, I need to borrow one of you who knows their way around a deck of playing cards. I don't need like a real poker expert, but I do need somebody who won't think of the 3 of puppy feet or the 12 of jacks. So any card players out there in the house? Ooh, now, I should point out, it is very rare for anyone to go, ooh, me. Generally they'll go, ooh, her. So the lady here is giving you up. What's your name?
Margaret.
Margaret, you want to do this?
Sure.
Come on. Big hand for my new friend Margaret, everyone. Margaret, I'm going to kind of run through the cards about that fast. And Margaret, hold up your magic finger. Good. I'm from Providence, Rhode Island originally. Sometimes in Providence you get a different magic finger. So I'm kind of go through the cards about that fast. And Margaret, at some point, anyway you like, bring your magic finger down on one card and hold it there. Okay. Now take a little dash there, a little clump.
Take a lump.
Yeah, a little handful. Okay, Margaret, you turn my back so I don't see what you're doing. Could you also turn your back to me?
Can I look at the cards?
Absolutely. And Margaret, take a step back toward me.
Oh, yeah.
Another one?
Yeah.
There we go. Margaret, fan those cards out in front of you.
Yeah.
Now, you don't need to memorize these, but you need to kind of notice each card that you've got, okay? So take a moment to flip through those cards and kind of notice each card that you've got there. Now, this is very much like one of those experiments they used to do back in the 1880s. Margaret will send, I'll try to receive. Try to name off cards that I see Margaret as seeing. I'm glad you find this amusing already. But before we get going, though, let me talk about the math that's involved, because I know you all came to hear me talk about math. My chances of naming one of the cards that Margaret has there are?
1 in 52.
There you go. My chance of naming, say, 2 cards that Margaret has there jump rather dramatically to 1 in 2,652. My chance of being right go up even more dramatically from there. My chance of naming, say, 5 cards that Margaret has there, just a whisker under 1 in 2 million. So suffice to say, this is wicked hard. Margaret,
Yeah.
take a minute to go through those. If you want to put them in any kind of order that appeals to you, I'll put them by number, by suit, whatever you like. You can do that. But take a sec to glance those over. I'm going to try to name off cards that I see you as seeing. All right? As I name cards off, I'm going to reach back like this.
Yeah.
If another card that you've got, put it in my hand.
Yeah.
If another card that you don't have, just say nothing here, go fish, something like that. Okay. Now, you do not need to say how many you've got, but we get to the last one. Say last one, 1 left, something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So feathers out, your eyes kind of go back and forth across that spread. Back and forth, 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 back and forth. Your eyes kind of go back and forth across that little fan of cards. And there's a few cards that kind of jump out to you and jump out to me as well. And there's a high value black card, and that's is that Jack of Spades there? There we go. Jack of Spades. You're also going to go back and forth across that fan, back and forth, 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 back and forth. Eight of diamonds, yes? There you go. Eight of diamonds. You guys keep going. King of clubs, yes? King of clubs. You guys keep going. Three of hearts. Now again, it's not fair to compare one audience to another. I understand that. But in Lawrence, when I had named off 3 cards correctly, that audience applauded. So there we go. That's it, spades there, Margaret? It's 2 diamonds, yeah? Seven of clubs? How did you take?
That's a lot.
Oh.
Why does it make you work?
It's a tough room here in Byfield. 9 of hearts. Five of spades? Queen of diamonds. Four of clubs.
Last card coming.
Let's go. Mark, can you take a quarter turn to your right? I always say the person behind
I
me.
don't know which one it is.
That's fair. I always say the person behind me take a quarter turn to your left or your right, because back when I was first doing this, I would say to the person behind me, turn around, thinking that it was obvious what I wanted. They would just do this.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
When we first got up here, we were standing back to back, and I was talking about the odds, the probability of doing this, 1, 2, 5, 6, do all that stuff. While I was doing that, I was thinking on my pad, and I didn't show them, just for me. What I'd written was a card I thought we had left with the last one we were going to whittle this down to. So what's the card that you've got there?
6 of hearts.
6 hearts. When Margaret first got up here, I was rustling my pad. Didn't show you, just for me. What I'd written was a card I thought we had left with, the last one we were going to whittle this down to. What I'd written, thankfully, was 6 of clubs. So. Margaret, everyone. So now, how many of you believe in ESP and psychic powers? Yes, you still don't. You know, I get to travel around and do the show all over the place. I've gone through all the New England states at this point. I've gone to New York, gone to either North or South Carolina. I forget which, but I don't think there's a huge difference. One of my favorite places that I ever got to perform was in Derby Line, Vermont. Anybody know Derby Line, Vermont? You do. Do you know the Haskell Opera House in Derby Line, Vermont?
No, I went to school in Lindenville, which is like 45 minutes south of there, so.
In Derby Line, Vermont, which is on the Canadian border, there is a little theater called the Haskell Opera House that is on the Canadian border. And I mean that. It is literally on the Canadian border. There's a black line that goes through the auditorium. One side's the US and one side's Canada. So I think it's the stage is in the US and the audience is in Canada, unless it's the other way around. So I did that show, and then for months afterwards called myself International Man of Mystery. So I get to travel around and do this show. I get to meet people after the show. People always come over and want to ask questions. If you want to ask questions afterwards, I'm totally happy to hang out and chat for a bit. And I say that, and then of course people who come over after shows sometimes end up being kind of weird. There'll always be at least once, usually a guy who'll come over to me after a show and he'll say, I have fantastic psychic powers too. I say, great, rock on, good for you. Then he'll say, can I show you? All right, let me nice, sure, what is it you do? Then the guy will go into a trance, or he'll contact the spirits, or whatever in God's name he thinks he does. And eventually he'll do something like, There's an older man, older male figure very close to you, very important in your life. Older man, older male figure, name begins with D. Who's this? Dad? No. So I'm not buying it, but I'm still kind of interested in the ideas anyway. I wasn't always going to do this. For the longest time, I was going to be an English teacher. I was going to be Dr. Rory Raven, PhD. And I was going to go the whole route. I was going to deconstruct and demystify with the best of them. I was going to write those god-awful, unintelligible papers with crazy subtitles, things that make no sense, but nobody will admit it doesn't make sense because they don't get it, you know. But I ended up doing this instead of doing that. I have much more fun doing this than I ever would have had doing that. But I still have a little bit of the English teacher vibe going. I think you'd probably agree. If you don't think so now, you will later, during the quiz. But a couple things happened back when I was a kid that I think kind of put me on this sort of path. One is that when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I got sick with one of the childhood ailments, like measles or mumps. I've long since forgotten what this was. And the family cure was to keep the sick child, me, in a dark room for a couple of days. And during that time, one of my sisters crept into the room and read me Edgar Allan Poe by flashlight. So I think this was sort of a formative experience. If nothing else, it made me a real reader. I love books, I love language, I love stories, I love libraries. I never leave the house without a book. Sometimes I'll bring two in case I finish one while I'm out, I need something else to read. This is sort of stuff that I like reading. Sherlock Holmes stories by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Bram Stoker's Dracula. This book has never been out of print since it first appeared in 1897. Edgar Allan Poe, of course. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the first science fiction novel ever written. I live in Salem, Massachusetts, now just down the road a bit, so I have The House with Seven Gables by my new homeboy, Nathaniel Hawthorne. 5 books, 2 of you. I want to borrow 2 of you to come up here, pick some words out of the books that we can have some fun with, and those 2 people shall be... What's your name? You want to try this? Control your enthusiasm. Yeah, no, you'll be fine. And what's your name here?
Lucy.
Lucy. Lucy and Catherine, everyone. Lucy and Catherine. Grab whichever book appeals to you, whichever one repulses you the least.
Come on.
I'm going to stand in the middle of you. Over on that side. Excellent. Take a quick flip through it. Make sure that it's just a book. It's not the same thing in all pages. You'll always seem to think. It's a book. So Catherine, we'll start with you. I'm going to kind of flip pages like this. At some point, anywhere like say stop, say there. When you do, look at the first word on the page. So before, in that case. If you don't like that, or if it's a boring word like or the, just say no. We're going to flip that another one.
I'm looking for the word.
No, just stop me randomly and we'll go with that.
Okay.
Now I should point out that this is a book of short stories. The short stories always seem to start on this page. I'm trying to find it. Sometimes that's a blank page, so if it's blank, just say it's blank.
Okay.
If it's repeat, just say stop.
Stop.
The first word there.
It's blank.
It's blank. Do it again.
Stop.
The first word
Okay. Say the word?
there. No, don't say it.
Okay.
But you got it.
Yeah. It is kind of a boring word.
You want to do another one? All right.
It was from. Okay, stop. Okay.
Good. Same thing. I'm going to kind of riffle pages. Yes, at some point, anyone say stop, say there. The first one of the page, so and. In that case, if it's a boring one like and, just say no or from. Just say no. Yeah, no. All right. Say stop.
Stop.
Good. Got it? Good. Let me start with you. In order to say this, I need to get you to say the first letter in the word but. If you just said first letter Z, it's too easy. So can you think of the first letter in your word and recite the alphabet for me, starting at A, going straight through to Z? Say it out loud. At some point, you're going to say the first letter in that word. But don't give it away when you do. Try to fake me out. All right? So relax.
I have to look at you while we're doing this?
You don't have
See
to.
the alphabet.
So just relax. We're all friends. Forget that there's 183 people watching. I might stop you part of the way through if I think I've got it. So off you go.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G,
Which one? First letter in S?
Sorry?
First letter in S?
First letter?
Is the first letter in your word?
It is
Is not. A little torn. It's S. Possibility that it's a B. All right, I'll write that. Same thing. Think of the first letter in your word. Set the alphabet for me. Starting A, going straight through Z. Think of the first letter. Don't give it away when you do.
Don't what?
Don't give it away when you do.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T,
Okay.
W, X, Y, Z. No.
Do it again. Take the first letter and use the alphabet piece. Again. A straight through Z. Off you go.
Okay. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, U, W, X, Y, Z.
All right. If I'm wrong on this, then I'm done. 3 strikes out. C? C. Same thing. Think of the first letter and do that again for me. A straight through Z.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, U, X, Y, Z.
You're absolutely unreadable. I'm going to thank you. I'm going to send you back. I'll get you over to something else. I'm so sorry. Think of the second letter in your word. Think of the second letter. Think of don't say. I'm going to say the alphabet. Wait for your second letter to go by. Don't respond when you hear me say it. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. C, Y, W, V, U, T, S, R, Q, P, L, N, M, L, K, J, H, P, D, H, C, B, N. Oh. All right. Think of the third letter. Think of the third letter. Think of don't say it. Think of don't say it. I don't say the alphabet. You don't say the alphabet. Just think of the third letter. Bring it relates to your brain so that that's an M. Yeah. I never missed 2. Nope, you got me as well. I'm so sorry.
And it was, do you want to tell you the word?
Yeah, it was
Continued.
Continued.
You want my word?
So it's not science. It's not science.
You want her word? My word?
Sure.
Projection.
Projection. Okay.
It's close. When you said M, I thought you were honing in.
I thought I was too. You know. All right. Second thing that happened to me back when I was a kid is when I was about 7 or 8 years old, about the same time as when I got sick. This man appeared on American television saying that he possessed fantastic psychic powers. I saw this guy on TV, and it changed my life. This guy claimed to have an ability known as psychokinesis, this is Greek for mind motion. This is the mind's supposed ability to influence physical objects just by thinking about it. So he didn't use his fantastic psychic powers to do anything as mundane as tell you your mother's maiden name and your winning lottery numbers. No, this guy used his fantastic psychic powers to ruin people's flatware. This catches on. He makes rounds of TV talk shows back then, demonstrating his abilities and leaving a trail of bent and twisted cutlery in his wake. And well, it catches on. People actually start having spoon-bending parties. And I've seen the videos. You get some friends together, you have a little wine, you have a little cheese, you pop a Bee Gees 8-track on, and everyone gets a piece of flatware. And I've seen the videos. People stand there going, bend, bend, bend! And supposedly, the forks and spoons would bend and twist, behave in other kind of unlikely ways. Most people who are into this like to use spoons, like to use forks. Forks are pointy, they seem a little bit sexier. We should point out that this is not family silver. I'm not using Gorham, but these are good solid stainless steel. They're not rubber, they're not plastic. There's no little hinges on them. These are for tap these in your chair. You know how solid these are? Here. So good solid stainless steel, yes? Can I roll this back for a sec? Quick, excellent. So good solid stainless steel. Actually look on the back for them, make sure they say stainless on the back. The idea here is if you take one of these, if you think about it getting kind of soft, think about it getting kind of malleable, think about it getting kind of plastic. Bend, think go, think now like that, think bend, bend, bend like that, bend, bend, bend like that, bend, bend, bend like that. Now I should point out that I know it's hard to see, whether it's a row or two back, there is the one time there that is decidedly eccentric, and this is the one you had, Margaret. Is it doing that a second ago when you had it?
No.
No, I feel it's not rubber, it's not plastic, it's not hot. Now every time I do this, I'm afterwards approached by my new worshipers, and they say, dude, I know how you did that. And I love conversations that begin, dude, I know how you did that. They say, oh, it's wicked simple. They say as I'm rubbing it like this, and I'm superheating the metal with the friction of my hands, I'm kind of causing it to melt as I warm it up with the heat from my mighty, mighty hands. And yeah, sure, this is a perfectly rational explanation for what's going on, right? Think about it getting kind of soft, think about it getting kind of malleable, think about that getting kind of plastic. Bend, go, think now, think bend, bend, bend like that, bend, bend, bend like that, bend, bend, bend. Alright, so you've got one, try that. Give that a shake like that, think about that getting kind of soft, think about getting kind of malleable, think about that getting bend, bend, bend. Any luck with that? No?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit? Try like this. Hold by the tine, the pointy parts there. Don't poke it, but hold there. Kind of rub at the handle like that. Think about it getting kind of soft, malleable, bend, bend. Yeah, hold by the tines there. Kind of rub at the handle. Think bend, bend, bend. Away from your eyes. Think bend, bend, bend like this. Think bend, 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 bend like that. Think bend, 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 bend like that. Anybody's doing that? Just come on.
Did it? I don't know.
Sometimes when they start, they'll keep going, so it's kind of cool.
Where's your mind at?
It's Byfield. Come on, don't embarrass me. Are any of you feeling especially psychic this evening? Just me? I'm going to save you for something. Maybe back there.
Oh, boy.
Please, madam, control your enthusiasm. What's your name?
Estelle.
Estelle. You want to try this? Come on, Estelle. Big hand money for Estelle. Estelle brought with me from home some spoons. Estelle, spoons fit together. The spoons spoon, for want of a better phrase. You can see this. This is good. There's a little tiny bit of a gap in the handles right there. That's an eighth of an inch, maybe. There's a little bit of a gentle weight. That's just the way that the spoon handles are made. Nothing I've done. These fit together pretty carefully, pretty exactly. Estelle, if you're going to bend one of these, it'll be our control spoon, our comparison spoon. This is all very scientific. So the point you want to bend, which one feels more psychic to you. That there is our control spoon. Estelle, take your left hand, put that out toward the symbol wrong. And Estelle, put your right hand on top of mine. I'm going to take my hand away, but leave your hand there. All right. Take my hand away, leave your hand there. Estelle, with your right hand, I want you to rub back and forth on that spoon. Think about that getting kind of soft. Think about that getting kind of malleable. Think about that getting kind of plastic. Bend, big go, big malleable, big bend, bend, bend. Estelle, feel all the energy in your body coming up your legs, up your back, down your arms, into your hands. That's good. You bend, you go, bend, 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 bend. You want to push it up a little bit there?
Looks like it's moving.
Okay, bend, 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 bend. Estelle, just lift your hand up. Now, these fit together perfectly before Estelle got her hands on. Estelle, put a finger right there. Rub back and forth, go ahead. They bend, they go, they bend, bend, bend like that. Bend, 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 bend. Okay, 90 degrees. Estelle's a freaky chick. Estelle, you want to take it with you if you want. Can I take this with logical conclusion?
All right,
Oh, right there, pinch right there with your forefinger and your thumb.
up here.
Yep. Pinch it in the other forefinger, your other thumb. Look at the adorable reflection of maker and fold. Estelle, I'm going to put a little bit of pressure, but not a whole lot. Okay, bend, to go, hold tight, hold firm. Bend, to go, not able to wobble it. Wobble it. I like saying wobble it. To bend, to go, wobble it. Wobble it. Feel that? Bend, bend. Estelle, let go. Let go. Put your hands out. Both hands. Both hands. Estelle, say bend. Say bend. Bend. Estelle, say break.
Break,
Again.
break,
Again.
break.
Catch.
Is it gonna fall off?
Oh.
It did.
Yes. I know, it's of no use to me now. You can keep it if you want. You can sell it on eBay when I'm famous. Estelle, everyone! The Sixth Sense. Great movie. Something people ask about all the time. People always come over to me after show and say, oh, you must have some sixth sense, some sense beyond the usual five that most of us have. I don't, really. It turns out that I'm not even really all that interested in the idea of having additional senses beyond the usual five. I am kind of intrigued with the idea of having fewer senses than normal. Now, back when I was trying to go to college, one of my classmates was blind, and Scott used to get around campus with a dog. And we talked about this. We talked about the old sort of wives' tale that, you know, when you're blind, your hearing becomes sharper, your sense of smell becomes more acute. And Scott and I talked about this a bit. He said, no, it's complete nonsense. His hearing wasn't any better, his smell wasn't any better because he was blind. This is just something that people say. You still hear people talking about this. I spent a little bit of time thinking about this. What if I didn't have the use of one of my senses, like sight being the most dramatic? And I decided that if I couldn't use my eyes, I would have to use your eyes. So I want to expand this idea for a few minutes. And I need to borrow a couple of you for this. The first person can do most of it right from their seat. That person needs to be the most artistic person in the room. Artistic. So where's your hand going up? What's your name? Ashton. Ashton. I'm going to give you a sketch pad and a pen. Ashton, in a moment, I'm going to ask you to make me a drawing. Now, this can be as abstract, as realistic as you like. Ashton, I've done this long enough that I know if I ask someone to make a drawing, people tend to make the same stuff. Birds, trees, houses, flowers, smiley faces, those are all very popular. So you might want to not draw one of those because so many people do. Or you might want to draw one of those. I told you not to, and I'll fake me out. Totally up to you. There's a period about 5 years ago where for some reason I did several shows in a row, and the person who made a drawing for several shows in a row made a drawing of me, which is kind of charming, but also pretty creepy. Just letting you know that. And don't start the drawing until I tell you to. I don't want any chance of me getting a glimpse. I won't be able to in like 2 minutes. Second person needs to be reasonably spry, and someone who won't mind doing some errands kind of back and forth with the rest of the group. So you want to do this? Excellent. What's your name, dear? Nadia. Nadia? Come on, Nadia. Everyone. Nadia, take the glasses off. Nadia. I don't know if you've seen this sort of thing before. Have you seen these before? Yeah? They're 50-cent pieces. You don't see them a lot these days. They're kind of old coins that people don't really use a whole lot. Anyway, grab 2 of those for yourself. Take the rest back. Nadia, holds up for light. Can you see through those at all? Nadia. He's been sitting here the whole time. People have been wondering what the heck this is. Have you seen this sort of thing before? Don't take it. I always know that. It's awesome. Can you see through this at all? No. Nadia, can you have one coin? One coin in the middle of one piece of tape. Nadia, you know where this goes? Good. On my face. Specifically, this goes. second one. Nadia, you know where this goes? Other up, she's quick. Nadia! You think boys any way I could see? I'm not psychic. There are 3 more pieces of tape on the table. Take them off, put one against my hand, stick your side against my hand. Oh, another one. Another one. Nadia, the heel of your hand, the flat part here, not the fingers, they're pointy, they hurt. With the heel, so press down, so no gaps, no holes, no place like a peak. Feel if you glue this eyeball. Good? Oh, he's there. Hey! Kid. Again? Do this one I can see. Maybe, she says. All right, we'll keep going. You seen this sort of thing before? This is blindfold. Do you see through this at all? You know where this goes? Face. Specifically. I see what she says. This has a go. It's bifield. This point is the only one I can see. All right. Just because there's a skepticism in your voice, there's a roll of tape right on the table. Hand it to me. Nadia, if this point's anybody can see. All right, there's a lot of stuff at this point, really, so that's good. Now, Nadia, here's where we get the errand you're running that I mentioned a moment ago. I need you to move up on the assembled throng, that being them, and borrow 2 items. Not 2 from everyone, but 2 in total. Folks, if you can lend Nadia an object, something a little unusual, a little fun, big enough that people will be able to see it. Nadia, get 2 things, bring them back up here, put them on my table, right here. And Nadia, don't get like keys, because keys will jingle when you put them down. I'm going to hear that and get some clue. Actually, a good time for you to start your drawing. If you had gone to a vaudeville house back in the 1920s, you would have seen a woman named Shireen doing an act like this. Shireen would be very heavily blindfolded. Once she was blindfolded, the audience would then lay out an obstacle course on the vaudeville stage, and Shireen would then dance her way through the obstacle course there on the vaudeville stage. None of you need to see me dance, so I do this. So Nadia, take your time, get 2 things, a little unusual, a little interesting, bring them back up here, put them on my table, take your time, don't worry about me standing here with the coins in my eyes and the glue, in my pores. Each having a job. Just let me know when you're ready. You're here? Okay. Nadia, usually when I do this, there's like a larger and a smaller of the 2 things. Is that the case here?
Yes.
Do you want to start with the larger or the smaller of the 2 things? Grab the smaller of the 2 things, grab the smaller of the 2 things up. Hold up over your heads so folks can see it. You folks can see this, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you think of the color of this? Because color is usually the first thing I kind of zero in on. There's a couple different colors going on here, but the one that kind of pops to most of you is this kind of almost like a brick red kind of color. That makes sense for you?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is a thing that has length to it, as opposed to something that you would think of as having width or height or depth. It's a thing that's sort of long. It's not too long. This is only I want to say this is fairly small because this is only about 5-6 inches maybe in length. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Did you get this from one of the ladies? Not yet.
Yes.
Fantastic. Can you see the voice of who this is? Just say that's mine. Can you hear the voice of the person that this belongs to? Just say that's mine.
It's mine.
There we are. So this is something that you've got with you. You usually have this with you, I want to say. This is not something that you brought here, especially just for little old me, right?
Right.
You have had other things like this, I want to say, yes?
Sure.
This is not the kind of precious family heirloom that gets handed down.
Sure it is, no.
This is something you would go through. This is a fairly everyday kind of item that you would use for a bit, then dispose of and get a new one. You would go into a store to buy this. You would buy a pack of them, about 10 of them, and you'd go home and you would file your nails with the emery board, and you'd slowly work your way through the package. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Now you can grab the second thing up and hold the second thing up so folks can see it. Folks can see this, yes?
Yes.
All right, same thing. Can you think of the color? Because color is usually the first thing I kind of zero in on. And this is there are a couple of colors going on here, I want to say. There's black going on here. There's also some red going on here as well, yes? Yes, yeah.
It depends on what color you think.
Okay, well some of you are thinking it's red. I'm kind of thinking it's red. Some of you might think of it as more of an orange, but I'm definitely thinking it's sort of a red. And the main sort of part of this is black. And there's the red or the orange is sort of other part of it. How are you doing on the drawing?
What?
How are you doing on the drawing?
I'm done.
You done? I'll get to you in a sec. This again is something you would think of as having length as opposed to having height or width. Can I hear the voice of who this is? Say that's mine.
That's mine.
You've had this for a little while. Again, not a precious family heirloom handed down kind of thing, but you've had this for a little while, I want to say, yeah? Do you have another one like this?
Yeah.
This is a sneaker.
Yeah.
Hold your applause. It's a black sneaker with some red or kind of orange sort of decoration to it. Does it say something on the side?
Yeah.
Is there a number on the side as well?
Yeah.
Oh, this is your left sneaker, by the way, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And on the side, it's 4 letters and a number, yeah? The number, just think what the number is, think. It's a 3 and a 5 and a 0. And the letters, it's like a weird, funny kind of word. Spiv?
Yeah.
Yes? Spiv 350?
Yeah.
There we go. Nutty, if you can give him his speaker back, unless you want to take it home with you. That's up to you. Give them their stuff back. Again for Nutty, everyone. You're done with your drawing, you say?
Yes.
Approach, please, sir. Hand that to me.
You get 'em.
All right. You folks can see this, yes?
No.
No.
Go this way?
No.
Go this way?
Get over the other way.
Oh, other way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
This way.
No.
Yes.
All right. So, you folks this way. You can see this, yes?
Yes.
This way you can see this. This way you can see this. I know this is kind of like a weird thing to ask you to do, but can you, for just a minute or two, kind of lock this image in your head? And, young sir, I want to hand this back to you. Can you take a couple of steps away? Can you put that on the floor, drawing side down? Stand on it. I'm going to take all this off. I don't want any chance of me getting a glimpse. So it's on the floor, drawing side down, you're standing on it. Okay. Now I get to part of this entire piece that I enjoy the least. Oh, I was going to be an English teacher. Oof. Nice sneakers. You've also been drawing, yes? If you draw a 6 of hearts, how cool would that have been? Sorry. All right. Think. Went this way, right? It was portrait, not landscape. Okay. And a hush fell over the room that night in Byfield.
Some dramatic music.
Okay. Can you show them again what you drew, and then let me see this? Come on over here. No, you can show me, because I think, so, wow, okay. Show them, and walk me through your whole process here. What did you come up with?
Well, I like pizza, and then I was gonna draw an apple, but it didn't look like an apple, so you're jack-o'-lantern.
Okay. All right, so it's pizza here on the pizza paddle.
Yeah.
It's a Halloween pumpkin pizza, evidently. Okay. The question becomes: does anybody see any similarity at all between that drawing there and that? So, I said I was going to read your minds tonight, so I should get to that. So this is kind of for all three of you. You can all do it right from your seats. So there's somebody here, somebody there. I like to kind of go along for the third person, so we head back that way. Right there. What's your name here? Jeannie. Jeannie. You want to do this?
Yes.
Jeannie, can you think of a name for him? Think of somebody you know. Someone whose face you can picture, someone whose voice you can hear. Not somebody here tonight, because I couldn't check out the sign-up sheets. I didn't, but I could have. So maybe somebody you haven't seen in a little while. Think about the person, see their face, hear their voice. Think about the last time you saw him or her. You've got a good image of the person. Take this little card, unfold it, kind of see the person there, if that makes any sense. And write down that name in big block, as a kid, across the face of the card. But be thinking about each letter as you write that. Don't let me see, don't let them see, they could be spies. I wasn't able to zero in on your word earlier, so let me try this. Can you think of a place that you've been, you have happy memories of. So it could be your hometown if you're not from lovely cosmopolitan Byfield. Could be where you went to school. Could be your favorite vacation spot. Could be your dream vacation spot. Think about the place. Walk around the place in your mind. See the sights. Hear the sounds, like she's doing. Take the little card, unfold it, kind of see the place there, if that makes sense. And write down the place in big block like a kid across the face of the card, really thinking about each letter as you write it. All right. And then once you've done that, fold the card back up, put the envelope here, and daintily lick the flap and seal it down. Gee, you all set there?
Yeah.
You done? All right. Take that back. I'll get the pencil in a second. We'll put this in here. Take that back and daintily lick the flap and seal that down. I'll get the pencil in a sec. Yeah, daintily lick the flap there and seal it down. Lovely.
Fold it. Do I fold it?
Yeah, fold it back up and put the envelope there. And lady there, you want to do this?
Me?
You.
Sure.
Excellent. Can you think of a date? Think of a date in the year you've got happy associations with. It could be your birthday, it could be an anniversary, it could be a day that just you've got great news and it sticks in your mind, like the others did. Take a little card, unfold it, kind of see the date there, if that makes any sense. Write down the date in big block letter kid across the face of the card, really thinking about each letter and number as you form it. Once you've done that, fold the card back up, put the envelope in daintily like the flap, and seal it down. Now, people always ask, why have you write things down in big block letter kid across the face of the card? There's two reasons, really. One is as you write something down, it helps kind of fix it in your mind. It's fixed in your mind, it can be fixed in my mind. Secondly, this gives us a written record of what you're thinking about. This prevents you from changing your mind and trying to make me look foolish. So, can I have yours? Yeah. And my Jim, can I have yours? I'll get the pencil in a sec. And as soon as you're ready, excellent. And Avalanche there. What's your name? Evan. Evan, can I have you kind of Vanna for me up here? It's a reference you don't get at all, I don't understand. These envelopes are 1, 2, 3, so easy to keep track of. Just guard those if you would. Gene, right? Step so I can see you. Hey, bro. Hello. Are you thinking of a name? Think about the name. Think about this person. See their face. Hear their voice. Think about the last time you saw him or her. When you've got a good sort of image of the person, just say out loud, I am thinking of this name. Don't say what the name is, but just say, I am thinking of this name.
Say it out loud.
Yep. Just say,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm thinking of this name. That's all I need you to say.
I'm thinking of his name.
Oh, his name. Okay, that's good, because that narrows it down by half. So I'm going to go with... Evan, can you be the one marked 1? People love that. All right, here's the thing. So Bob's the person you're thinking of here. Do you know Bob reasonably well, right?
He did.
You did. So this is someone that you knew, and I don't. You knew Bob well enough to go with Bob. I don't know him well enough. I would be more formal, I'd go with Robert. But I think this is pretty much character, yes? Okay. Excellent. Think about this place, kind of walk around the place in your mind. See the sights, hear the sounds. And when you've got it, just say, I'm thinking of this place.
I'm thinking of this place.
Okay. Do this one night, 7 or 8 years ago, a nightclub in downtown Providence, where I was living at the time. I was living in Providence, I wasn't living at the nightclub. And it was a drinking crowd, a comedy club. I had a guy in the second spot, sir, think about the place, and when you've got it, say, I'm thinking of this place. It's a comedy club. Had a few at that point, and he really got into it, and I swear to you, he went, Tahiti, which made it so much easier, but the whole sense of mystery I tried to cultivate was sort of dampened. So I'm sorry, just think when you've got to say, I'm thinking of this place.
I'm thinking of this place.
Evan, give me number 2. Wait for it. Iceland. I'm just reading it from here. It's not that impressive.
I just think that.
That's impressive.
Oh, wow.
Good to see you. Excellent. You're thinking of a date. Think about the date. What happens on the date? Think about why the date's important. When you've got it, just out loud, I'm thinking of this date.
I'm thinking of this date.
Evan, put hers in my pocket. Do a seat. You, a seat. I'm sorry, do that again. I'm thinking of this date.
I'm thinking of this date.
In a nice, clear voice, so we can hear you. What's the date you're thinking of?
November 10th, 2001.
November 10th, 2001. Okay, good. Here's the thing. Dates are tricky. They're numbers and letters of often ways of thinking about dates. I spell dates out in my head like you do, November 10th, 2001. But sometimes people do that as all numbers, so November is what, 11? So sometimes, because of this, sometimes doing dates I can be off by a day or two. Sometimes as much as a week. It's happened before. Not tonight. It's happened before.
Very good.
So, thank you. So, my name is Roy Raven. I want to thank you all for coming out and letting me play with your minds. Nothing you see me do is psychic. Nothing you see me do is occult. It just shows you all what you can do when you put your minds to it. So thank you for coming out. Come back to your library, see other stuff that goes on here. Maybe someday you'll see me again here. So, thank you very much. Good night.